back and stupider than ever. I mean, goddamn, right? When you think things couldn't get sillier, they do.
Yeah.
Hey, man, apparently there's a wellspring of silly coming from that studio. Troublemaker Studios.
And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. I would sit up here and tell you what the premise of Machete Kills is, which is what this movie we're talking about is now. But
hey, it's co-host's hero. Let him talk.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, the thing is that this movie doesn't even know its own fucking premise. You know,
You don't know. It doesn't know what it is.
I like to go. Oh yeah, it's finally a Mexican hero that we can all stand up and look up to. Not really. I mean, because you can barely find him half the time during all the action scenes. He's like in the background running around. You know, I was like, when is this movie ever going to star Machete instead of its cast of thousands?
I gotta be honest. I mean, I came into it late, but I was like, okay, it doesn't take much to figure these out. And I was like, okay, maybe it does because this is all over the place. I'm like, what is this trying to do?
It really is.
It makes you feel any better. I mean, Danny Trejo, he's old. He's
Sure.
like
He's
really
old as fuck. Yeah,
And
his face spells old. Yeah.
I would get all the home release stuff, and I'm telling you, there is not a movie he won't say yes to right now. Like, I have seen in the last several months so many Danny Trejo starring films that make Machete Kills look like Citizen Kane by comparison. So this, for him, this is his day in the sun. Let him have it.
Hey, looking at his face, he's had too many days.
He is the sun.
He got to start playing a California Raisin.
Machete Kills his face.
I know. I imagine if they ever extinguish the sun, the sun's going to look like fucking Danny Trejo.
A pineapple would look
craters
at
and
his
all.
face and go like, damn, man, you need to put some moisturizer on that.
Oh, you know what? I got to give it to the guy though. He's 70. I mean, he's 69 right now.
He's
gonna be-
69,
yeah,
right?
But he's
Yeah.
about to be 70 years old. I mean, the guy is, he's pretty badass looking for his age and how short he is. There's a moment in the movie where he's walking next to these two security guards or something, and he is short. He looks like a little boy with a Danny Trejo mask on.
No, I told you they had the closing party with Machete once at the Nomad, the bar we go to here in town, and I literally stepped on him. I did. I was like, did not see him totally stepped on him. I was like, holy shit, that's Danny Trejo.
No, you're not-
He's fucking tiny.
I saw that dude walking out of just some screening at an Alamo Draft House one night, and he was dressed up like he was playing one of them prison yard prisoners with the white socks all the way up to his knees. But that white sock could have come up and covered up his entire body because he was so tiny. I was like, holy shit, that's Machete. Who the fuck are you killing?
But he's stout.
Yeah.
Hey man, there's certain scenes they just should have put like roller skates on him.
Well, you could tell when the camera is like pretty much pointing straight up his nose that they're using some forced perspective.
I mean, these kind of movies. This one for a certain period, I actually enjoyed it more than the first Machete because I thought, all right, you know what, this is the amount of silliness that I actually admire somebody who just says, I don't give a fuck. These movies that Robert Rodriguez does, like Machete Kills, especially this one. Now, I know you're a big fan of this, Cyrus. Axe Cop. They're his version of Axe Cop. Axe Cop is it's a comic and it's now a show.
That's a cartoon written by a 12-year-old.
Oh no,
right?
Even younger than that.
It was written initially by a 5-year-old who just wrote stream of conscious stuff. He might be older now, but the only difference between Axe Cop and Machete Kills is that adults so-called wrote this,
I don't believe it.
Yeah.
I sat through this movie and I don't believe an adult put pen to paper.
Where if you thought,
because if he did,
well, you thought like if you're thinking like think like Axe Cop, not written by a 5-year-old, but written by a cat.
Written by a cat.
Yeah, I mean that's that's the level of silly this is.
Yeah. I'm not sure that cats are that dumb.
I know
You'd be surprised. Have you seen the
exactly.
cats that hang around here?
That's true. That's true.
But, I mean, the thing is, I mean, obviously this is coming from that whole well of grindhouse film that, Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino tried to start up with these, homages to those like late 70s, just cheap movie theater movies. But, the thing is that when you saw Machete, you could tell, okay, this is about as ridiculous and stupid you can get to where you're completely missing the point of what you originally wanted to do, to where you just went like fucking full bendejo, where you're just like, you just don't give a fuck. You're just saying, all right, let's just have some explosions, some interesting kills, and because that's what the audience wants, and they're not going to care about anything else. And that last Machete movie, I thought it severely suffered from that. This one, on the other hand, there were moments where I was like, wow, they're actually like trying to do something.
Yeah.
But then again, they're trying to do way too much, way too much. Got too much shit on their menu.
Point, man.
Yeah.
It's all over the place. Like, I get the like admiring people who don't give a fuck, but I need them to give like just a little bit of a fuck,
just a little bit,
just something for me to hold on to.
Yeah, put the head in just a little bit.
But man, I watched this. I had like having an epiphany. I'm like, man, he's always using the Mexican actors and has something to say, even though I'm not sure what it is. And his directing skills never progress any more than the first movie. Robert Rodriguez is the Mexican Tyler Perry. It's all the same kind of sensibilities that go into every movie that comes out.
I always thought he was more of like an Ed Wood, where he still is using the same, he uses the same actors, uses some of the same tricks. Even, honestly, with this film, I noticed him rehash a lot of the stuff that he used in his previous films. He's giving himself a nod. Like, oh, do you remember this from this other movie? And there are a lot of things where you really have to be steeped in Robert Rodriguez films to see it. But, the thing with this, though, is that it's still really not really delivering on the potential that they could have for an interesting franchise with an interesting character. I mean, and it's sad to see so many ideas where I'm like, look, there's little nuggets of ideas that I actually enjoyed in this new movie, but it just seemed like they were so throwaway to him.
Well, I felt like if I cherry picked, I could find things that I'd like, all right, Cuba Gooding Jr. is in there for a little bit, but he seemed to be putting something into it. He was into it. And even Mel Gibson as the villain, I was like, you know what? I actually think he's got terrible lines, but he's actually delivering them well. Like he's invested in this.
Yeah, if they were delivered by anyone else, I mean, we would just think that it's just terrible.
But then, I could pick out those two little things, and even Demian Beecher at times. I was like, all right, I guess I'm kind of liking him. But then I go like, okay, you stuck Lady Gaga in here just because she agreed to show up for a day and wrote this whole plot around just having revolving celebrities just for the stunt of it. And every time Sofia Vergara showed up, I was just like, I think I want to leave right now.
As you know, every jerk of lowlife from this side of Rio Grande is going to pile through that door as soon as the sun comes down. So get them off and get them out. And ladies, every Steve Pecker in my parlor pays to play. No freebies. Those are house rules.
Because I'm on during the first.
Oh, another positive thing.
Yeah.
Michelle Rodriguez's fake tits. They were awesome.
Are they fake?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
They weren't moving.
Well, that's because they were strapped in by a real tight.
They strapped the shit out of that bra.
I'm taking me the way they go.
There would be some movement, or there would never be times when they looked like perfect zeros.
I'm just saying, you act like you got some inside information. I want to know how you know this.
He wouldn't. She goes for the
things,
chicks.
man.
Didn't you hear? She came out.
Sorry, if you're going to talk about hot liquor,
She came out.
She came out.
Yeah, I heard about her.
well, I know that.
Came out of where?
Yeah.
It came out of the closet.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
God damn it!
I listened to an old interview where Howard Stern got her admit that she had sex with Vin Diesel when they were making.
I remember that. I remember that interview. Yeah, but the whole time I was
Is that
thinking,
why she's a lesbian now?
Hey, man, I was going to say, that doesn't mean she can get it. I mean, I'm straight, and I'd have sex with Vin Diesel. So.
Hey, you want to do it again? No, that's all right. In fact, I don't want dick anymore.
he filled her up full of testosterone.
That's the thing. It's like she had all the dick there. That was all of it in one.
But you know
and
what?
She was like, I don't need any more of that.
But you know, from day one, I was like, that chick digs chicks. I'm sorry. I don't know if I could just see that.
I wanted to believe.
You wanted to believe it?
I wanted
really?
to believe that.
So you thought she's attractive?
He's bisexual.
Oh, bisexual. Yeah, I could believe that.
I knew
you could still
something there.
You could still believe that.
Yeah, maybe it's because she talked like this all the time. I'll beat the fuck out of you.
How are you, Corey?
Stop looking at my fake tits. Did Leon say I had fake tits? I'm gonna beat his ass too.
You know what? She did everything but wear a flannel shirt.
Pretty much. Yeah, you're right,
I
man.
know, man.
But
damn it.
I mean, if you're talking about girls that are just looking like goddamn. I don't know if you remember that kid from those Spy Kids movies. Jesus Christ, Robert, what the hell? I thought that girl was like the equivalent of your daughter. I'm talking about Alexa Vega.
Oh, no,
to
man.
where she was like in fucking a bra and panties, and you saw her ass and her tits were pouring out every scene she was in.
That shit is wrong from Robert Rodriguez.
I know.
To do that.
I was like,
that
damn.
feels like a daughter to me. I mean, not my daughter.
Not my kid.
Nothing hotter than fucking some other guy's daughter.
Jesus Christ. what were they feeding that girl on those Spy Kids sets, man? I mean,
You don't want the answer to that.
I mean, she went from like a little girl to a woman over
fucking woman.
fucking night,
Yeah,
man.
no shit.
I'm pretty sure those Spy Kids movies were made 15 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, no, the answer is you old.
Still though, yeah. We keep revisiting those movies because they're so good.
But not too old. My shit still works. Apparently so. But
No,
you
but
know what,
damn.
man? For the first hour of this movie, I was really having a good time. I was like, this is what he really wanted to do on so many levels. This is what he wanted to do with that grindhouse stuff that he was trying to do. I think he finally captured it well. He had the right sense of humor to do it. This is what he wanted to do with the first Machete. This is actually Spy Kids for adults in the best way, because that kind of stupid.
Man, you really nailed that.
Yeah, and you know what? And I was enjoying what he was
Except
doing.
when you said kinda stupid.
Well, listen, I was really having fun with just how loose it was being. I said, man, I don't know if I made this comparison before, but I said, this is Robert Rodriguez playing with fucking action figures, man. You know, this he did what I used to do with action figures. I used to kill every fucking action figure I had. I would draw and quarter them. I would dismember them. Whenever my mom used to give me clay, I used to save up firecrackers from the 4th of July just so I can make human heads out of the clay and put a firecracker in there. And I'd be like, "Oh, would you like a cigar, mister?" And blow up heads and shit. I was like, no.
And you'd put them in totally bizarre situations. Like the Star Wars guys ended up going back in time and ended up on the planet of the apes. And,
Yeah, I would do stupid. No, I didn't do that crazy. My shit was destroyed before I got that far, you know. But I was like, I can relate to this. This is the guy. This is what I see now when they say he is having fun. It doesn't really have to make too much sense. And there were points where you and I were just laughing, man. There were just points where people were dying, but in the goofiest way, because they have a stupid scream, like a person would fly into a propeller.
Yeah.
Machete! You know,
There's a scene where somebody falls into a boat, and it looks like some shit straight out of a Benny Hill TV show where, you know, it's ridiculous and it's cheap looking as hell, but yet it worked. It was effective. And
it's a cartoon, man.
It really is.
It's a straight up cartoon. I like that.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. That first half was a lot of fun. It's like, okay, you know, there's a lot of, even the performances, and that's one thing I honestly would like to praise. Shockingly, because I mean, when I went into this, I was expecting to completely fucking hate it. Just because Machete, I was like, man, if they end up just taking this to the next level, I know I'm going to hate it, because it seemed like that's kind of where they were heading. But with this, though, the performances, at least with all the cameos, and even like Charlie Sheen, Mel Gibson, and the guy who is the Mendez character, Demian, that guy, they were having a lot of fun, and it really went into their characters, how much fun they were having. It wasn't another situation where I was like, well, you know what? These guys are having more fun filming this than I am watching it.
But you guys keep saying, I really like the first half.
Well, you know what? And he makes a good point, because either everybody's having fun, because I can see why he got the names that he got in this movie, because these people just do kind of walk-ons. And for a while, they're fun. And that guy, Damian Bashir, I didn't even recognize him at first. He was in that movie. What's that movie about the Mexican truck? A Better Life. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like, that. He was such a different character in that film. I can see how this guy is such a talented actor. But where it went wrong for me is after an hour, Mel Gibson steps in. And Mel Gibson's character is in that movie. And one thing you got to keep in mind, something that you didn't catch. This is something that really set up the tone well for me and then took it to a bad place. The beginning of the movie opens up with the trailer for Machete Kills in Space, and I'm thinking, okay, that's fun.
Wait, they have the trailer for the third movie at the beginning?
Yeah, but we don't. He's going to work on it. He's already set that up. It's not produced yet. It's not in production, but he's going to do it. But the beginning of the movie works has that Machete Kills in Space. Really cool grindhouse credits. When Mel Gibson comes in, the reason why the second half of that movie goes wrong is because, first of all, it makes no fucking sense. And you just get numb to the absurdity and the stupidity and the silliness, because you've seen it all so fast-paced. At this point, it's like, man, he should stop right here. But regardless of whether it's making sense or not, they are trying hard to have an excuse to set up for that third Machete Kill in space.
To send him to space.
To fucking send him to space. And it's like, man, this is really just, you're wasting my time here really trying to make that movie right now.
That second half also starts to suffer from it just feeling aimless, you know, because it seems like he's on 20 missions in the first hour. So things are happening, but the second part becomes so aimless that when you have characters just giving nothing but exposition throughout the whole time, I'm like, why am I feeling like it's been a while since I saw anyone like get killed or anybody being chased.
Every
It's like,
fucking character has a flashback that they explain.
Flashback.
Yeah, that whole second half was nothing but that, and I was like, really, because I was like, okay, now I'm starting to feel the weight of this thing starting to collapse. So it was like, okay, you're throwing too much, and I'm starting to feel it. But as far as Mel Gibson is concerned, though, I really did enjoy him. Yet there was moments where I was like, God, I wish they would have used him in the first half of this film, because I thought he was at least delivering. He was honestly like, I thought he was really acting. Out of everyone,
Yeah, he
was really treating this material like this is some real deep shit here that I'm saying. And I think that's what makes it work. I think that's a lot of times why those B movies work, because these actors are really trying to give out a performance to make this bullshit seem, just be able to, the audience to have it swallowed.
Well, it grounds it, and that's why I like his performance as opposed to all the others, where it's like when you guys are like praising, like, what if like they were having so much fun, they're having fun. It's like, well, that's great that you actors and millionaires are having fun, but you're kind of fucking around. Where this guy's actually putting something in it to where I'm like, I can believe
Well,
his
Mel
character.
Gibson might be a crazy asshole in real life, but he's definitely a consummate professional when it comes to acting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, he added the weight of just the villain role of it.
It made me think like, damn, I wish he'd played more villains during his career.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, not when the camera wasn't on.
No, exactly.
I got to tell you, man, you talk about how great he was and doing it, how serious he was taking it, and how professional he was. But there was even a point where they had him just looking stupid. They just made him silly.
They did that to everybody.
Yeah, they pretty much did.
There's no way he's getting out of this.
I know. Well, it's funny just how
He fought the good fight.
it was just funny how every Mexican in the movie put on like almost a caricature of a Mexican accent, like, oh, of course, oh, check it out, look out, Machete.
Yeah. I kept want to go like, all right, tone it down, Pepe. You're Mexican. We get it.
Oh, look out, Machete.
That guy Damien Bachir, when he came in, I heard about you, Machete.
Everybody sings songs about Machete.
He was actually spitting tacos every time he talked.
He turned into a taco.
Oh, you used to be with the cartel, and now you're all about the revolution. Yeah. We got to stick with the revolution. It's like, man, shut up. You don't even believe in any of that.
Can I say that, there's things that Robert Rodriguez does that he just constantly repeating himself. Mm-hmm. I like that this one was not trying to have that serious message of immigration and all that. It's still here, but it's not as heavy-handed. But he still has to end his movies in one big shootout where, all the crazy characters have to come in and shoot fucking guns from every part of their body. And I'm like, man, we saw this in the last movie.
Mm-hmm. No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like
in Planet Terror.
Like you said,
Yeah.
Same thing. But like you said, I mean, he did treat that ending like you would with all your fucking action figures. You put them all in the fucking pile and you set them on fire. And that's big for him.
It is that, but I mean, talk about people repeating. I still have a problem with somebody who spends so much money to make a movie that's supposed to look cheap. Yet they spend exponentially more just to get that same look, and yet he cheaps out to the point of using digital so much instead of practical effects that it just loses something. I'm like, wow, okay, all these digital muzzle flashes and blood and all this. I'm like, I just don't care.
I could take it because, like I said, the movie was silly. I'll tell you where I do agree with you on, where I thought that all the walk-ons and all the cameo appearances and all the actors at the beginning were a lot of fun. And that second half was at that point, like, hey, remember my friend Tom Savini?
Oh yeah,
come, the guy that was a bad guy in the last movie, which made an excuse for him to come back in here. I'm like, come on, man.
And I hate it when they throw in.
I get it. Yeah, that's your buddy. All right?
I hate it when they throw in a character like that. Yet once again, they fail to do something interesting with him. I mean, they give him like the most generic role, the most the most generic thing to do in the movie, which is hold a gun and just run around and pray to God you don't get him shot. Where I'm like, we know this guy. Can you have him like integrated in an interesting way?
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely spent plenty of time to make him look fucking cool. Yeah. Like, do something else.
Even Quentin Tarantino said, "Man, you got too many goddamn people in this movie. I can't show up. You my friend and everything. No, you don't have me coming here and making a fool out of my."
Well, I think Tarantino's given up on that whole Grindhouse thing. So he
actually, considering the box office receipts from the Grindhouse movie, they should have both given up on it.
Yeah. But
what kind of hint do you need?
But it's the thing he does now, and it seems like now it's all he knows. It's like, I don't ever think I'm going to ever get anything like El Mariachi ever again from that guy, and that's unfortunate.
For a while, this was, for a while I was thinking this is somewhat the sequel to El Mariachi that I wanted to see, but like I said, man, I don't know, man.
Well, he's got his own television network coming out shortly, so
Of course, with
Tyler
that,
Perry. See,
Hey,
You're right. Hey,
maybe
man.
so. Yeah.
Man, you know, well, I don't even know I'm going on about this movie because I mean, you know how it is, man. People are either like Tarantino. They're either Rodriguez fans. They're going to say you don't get it.
No.
Or,
I know.
are there going to people say no? This is not my thing. I'm right in the middle of here. Actually,
I sat in a theater tonight with a bunch of people who get it, who were like, oh, ha, ha, oh, ha, ha. I'm like, oh, I hate you people. I wish I was Machete because I would just go through just chopping off heads.
I'm in the middle on this, man. I gave the last movie a rental. And this one comes out to about the same. I mean, I actually enjoyed this better than the first one, so it's just marginally more of a rental than the last film.
There's a temptation to give this movie a better than it deserves rating, just because we were expecting it to be much worse.
Yeah, we were.
Oh yeah, we definitely were.
And to say like, okay, well, it's somewhat better than the last one. Kind of, but probably if you did a side by side comparison, not really. What it comes down to, there's so many of the sensibilities in this that I tend to not like, but I know that I could like them. I could totally get with it if any of the money was spent on an actual script writer, because as co-host, you brought up all the places, the potential to go somewhere with it. Yeah, it was there. It really was. But it's like the dialogue, things that people would say, or having Sofia Vergara show up with the bullet shooting out of her bra, and it's just like, man, nobody's writing shit. And I was really kind of going with. I was sort of with you guys, like, hey man, look, you're here. Stop being a sourpuss. Just ride it out. But when you get to things like Amber Heard and Michelle Rodriguez having their showdown with each other, and the one-liners they throw back and forth to each other, it was too much. I was like, wow, this is like almost having a pun war. And it's like all it takes is somebody saying like, hey man, let's actually try to write something good. I know these are based on movies that weren't written good, but we can write something good. We can actually write something funny and make it even better. It's like, nah, let's just keep filming. So I don't know. This is kind of like a high some old bullshit to me.
High some old bullshit. Wow. Well, I mean, I can't say anything to that because I know there's going to be a lot of people on. I'm with you, Corey. I'm definitely right there in the middle, where as much as I was really trying to sit there and be pissed off that they made another Machete movie. I found myself like feeling like the Grinch. Like after a while, I started to realize, Christmas ain't so bad sometimes. I guess. So I started to grin, and I actually, I had a good time. But yeah, the second half of the film really severely suffers. And I hate the fact, Corey, that you mentioned that these movies are fucking Spy Kids films, because that was the one thing I was hoping to say. So Leon could tell me, wow, you hit it right. And as soon as you opened up your mouth, said that, I was like, most depressing part of the review in my life.
I'm gonna edit my part out. You go ahead and have it. That's my Christmas gift to you. Go ahead.
No.
You better do if I do your voice.
These Machete movies are just like Spy Kids movies.
I wish I had said that.
I'm sorry. I'll give that back to you.
Okay. I'm gonna keep it in
because you are absolutely right. That's the thing with Robert Rodriguez with these films. I was like, with his Spy Kids films, he's doing so much of those. That's eventually going to seep over into what he's doing now. It's almost, with the last Machete movie and the other shit he's done, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, you started to see that slowly happen. But you know what? Thank God.
You can have a film festival, the evolution of Alexa Vega.
Yeah, I know, no shit. But
creepy Alexa Vega festival.
But I'm just glad that this movie didn't seal that fate that I was always kind of worried about that guy, Robert Rodriguez, where his movies become just ridiculous and he becomes almost like a fucking just a name. When you hear his name attached to a movie, you start to just groan. I'm glad this wasn't that film.
Wait, you think that didn't happen?
Well, he's still coming out with Sin City. I'm still. I like Sin City. I'm sorry.
I'm waiting for Sin City 2 also, man. I really like Sin City.
Yeah.
I tell you what, though, I really want this movie to be successful, though. Because I want everybody to stop Leon on the street saying, hey, Cuba Gooding Jr.
I know, no shit.
Man,
yeah.
I don't know if people heard it, but real quick, you just got to tell people what happened to you at Fantastic Fest.
At Fantastic Fest, they premiered Machete 2, and I didn't see it, but I was walking around, and a guy who's in line for something else was like, hey, I just saw you in there. And I was like, oh, no, I was just checking to see my movies. No, Machete, you were there. You were in it. The chameleon. And I was like, what are you... Oh, you mean Cuba Gooding Jr.? Man,
Yeah,
I'm not him though. Yeah, man. Yeah, you are.
You don't look that much like Cuba Gooding Jr.
But the guy would not take my word for it. He ended up just thinking Cuba Gooding Jr. was an asshole who didn't want to sign an autograph.
And then when the scene happened, you see Cuba on screen. I'm like, don't look. And then you see Cuba put on a hat. You're like, Leon, that's Leon.
I know. And I like the way when Leon was walking away from that dude was like, yeah, walk away, Cuba. I know who you really are.
Yeah, Cuba,
asshole.
Yeah, Cuba went home to find one last person on his Facebook page.
Radio sucks.